What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pigskins and Pinfalls. I'm Dick Burns.
I'm Bobby Boomerang. We're here to talk everything from the Cowboys get Trey to rest in peace Bray.
God, that one hurts. That's right, we're here to talk everything from Terry Funk to more CM Punk. God, the fact that I had to say that.
Again.
Which we'll
Two
get to
weeks in a
that,
row.
but you know it
Two
says
weeks in
something
a row.
when literally the first words out of all the news reports were that everything coming from backstage, the feeling coming from backstage was eye rolling and this again.
Right.
We have soured. Anyways, as always, every little bit of support helps the channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, leave a comment down below, and leave your expectations at the door. Before we get started, I wanted to follow up on something that we had from last episode.
Yeah.
Remember how we were talking about Money in the Bank winners and how long they hold the titles? Because we were talking about
Yes.
how long will EO hold that title.
And how traditionally it's pretty, they drop them back pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went back through and I made a spreadsheet of, like, I went through, did the math on this. Honestly, it was me stalling from from doing any editing last week at some point because I was getting frustrated.
I do want to thank you for going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I definitely went down the rabbit hole. So I made a chart and I color coordinated it and everything.
I need you to zoom.
As you can see, we have every person that has won the title. I mean, won the briefcase and what they did with it. As you can see, there's a lot of orange here. Orange means less than 100 days. Of the 24 successful cash-ins, 7 of them went more than 100 days. And only one, being Seth Rollins' reign with the title, went 221 days. The only one to go over 200 days.
Heist of the century.
Heist of the century. That was the only reign that lasted more than 200 days. There were 6 other ones. Big E barely broke 100. Bailey broke 100. Carmella broke 100, which that was a whole lot of stop and start on that one too. There was a whole lot of shenanigans involved. And then you have Kane, Miz, and Daniel Bryan all went over 100 days. Daniel Bryan just barely.
What's the shortest?
The shortest?
On a successful cash-in, obviously.
Looks like Miz, 8 days. Yeah.
Oh, who could forget when he won it off of Otis, and then
When he won it off of Otis, cashed in on Big E just to lose it to no, he didn't cash in on Big. He cashed in on Drew, and then dropped it to Lashley like a week later.
Because WWE couldn't figure out how to get the belt to Lashley from Drew because they didn't want to do Lashley versus Drew.
Which is stupid, but okay.
Yes.
All right, so that was a fun little rabbit hole that I went down.
Thank you, Senior Burns, for the rabbit hole. To kind of start things off, very, very tragic news from last week, and we lost a brilliant wrestling mind, and by all accounts, an even better man. Bray Wyatt passed away.
This one was
36 years old.
This one was really tough. I'm not gonna lie. This one really hit.
Yeah.
It hit really close to home more than anything. It's not. It's not
same
fun.
age, right?
What's up?
You guys are the same age.
Nearly. He was about a year and change older than me. So when shit like that happens, it hits a little close to home because it's like, he wasn't much older than me. I mean, he had so much going for him. The fact that they said he was on the up, really had a lot to do with it. They have since confirmed that it was a heart attack. The news actually, there was more details that were released this morning stating that it was a heart complication that was exacerbated by COVID. He had been hospitalized just last week, or the week before, rather. He had seen his doctor for a follow-up that morning, went home, took a nap, and never came back.
Sadly, didn't wake up.
It's terribly tragic. We still have to do our due diligence and acknowledge that, I mean, this is a huge loss to the wrestling community as a whole. Literally, like, everyone. Someone pointed out that this is the first main roster active death since Eddie Guerrero and Redacted. Those are the only two. Those are the 2 cents. And technically Brody Lee, but that's AEW. But
Correct.
It's still these are the first ones since then, and the fact that our generation is going to look at this as our Eddie Guerrero, that this is the loss that who knows what could have been. I mean, I went back that night, and I jump on stream just to open a space for people to talk about it, and we just sat back, watched old matches, and yeah, it hurts. It definitely hurts this time around.
Yeah,
I mean, no death is ever an easy death, but this one was stupidly hard.
Yeah, and I mean, he was such a talented wrestler and such a creative. I mean, we've had reports of them saying like, "Yo, if we let him off the leash, like we got to rein him back in because he can just take something and run with it." Obviously, like our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends, his family, his loved one, his children. And it's been nice to see the tributes that wrestling companies have done for him, bringing back Rowan and Strowman, having them on stage at Friday Night SmackDown to pay respects was a nice touch.
Right there, front and center on the stage.
Right, just it's so sad because now, like you said, there's going to be so much what if, and it sucks, and unfortunately, we do have to continue with a little bit of somber news before we can get into the lightheartedness of our show, and Terry Funk, hardcore wrestling legend, also passed away this past week.
He did die at the age of 79. He was diagnosed with dementia back in 2021. He had been in and out of hospice care ever since. One of the greats. Definitely another one that like revolutionized. I mean, he's widely considered to be the father of hardcore wrestling. And without him, there would be no chair shots, no barbed wire, nothing, anything that makes was legitimately him innovating hardcore wrestling changed the game.
Absolutely.
Cody came out and did an amazing tribute for him on Friday night as well. It was very well done. They honored him with a hardcore tag team match. They called it the Terry Funk Hardcore match, I believe. Street Profits versus the Banger Brothers. The Brawling Brutes, rather. They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to say Banger Brothers anymore, are they?
No, they're not. But not Terry Funk and Cactus Jack McFoley, their matches, back in I believe the '80s, they hold up today because they are that hardcore style, and that's something that, if done right, will stand the test of time. And like you said, he's widely considered to be the father of hardcore wrestling. For me personally, he's part of my personal favorite opening to a Rumble ever, when it was Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack. I believe
98, because it was the Three Faces of Foley match.
Three Faces of Foley match, and I love that opening. The Rumble itself is kind of meh, but that opening with Chainsaw Charlie and Foley
the 98 one was a good Rumble, but it doesn't really stand the test of time like all the others do. But yeah,
you're right. It stands out for being the Three Faces of Foley Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree with that. And of course,
also, again, thoughts and prayers to Terry Funk's loved ones, friends, family, and all of that as well.
Of course, and of course, unfortunately, death always does come in threes, and we have a third death to discuss as well. We would like to send our condolences as well to the family and friends of Bob Barker, the ever-present Price is Right host, widely considered to be everyone's favorite guest host during the Raw guest host era. The segments he did with Chavo, the entire program he was building with Jericho.
Was
revolutionary. I would not be surprised if we see Bob Barker go into the Hall of Fame this year as well.
Neither.
Just because, which a lot of people are calling for Bray to be the headliner for the class of 2024. So, I mean, I'm never going to speak against it. Bob Barker, I'm actually surprised considering the way everyone spoke highly of his guest appearance. I'm surprised he wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet.
Correct. Because you have people in there for being in the Royal Rumble for 13 seconds. Looking at you, other Price is Right host Drew Carey.
That's right, Drew Carey was in the... Wait a minute. Also, to turn things mildly lighthearted in light of all this somber news, Bob Barker passed at 99. He ensured he did not make it over $1.
Yep, sure did.
I saw that. I'm not gonna take credit for that. That was on X, and I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry. That's too fucking funny. That's not a too soon.
It's a classic move by Bob Barker.
$1, Bob.
Yep. But obviously, Dolphins, Bears, Dolphins, all three of those, and they're the ones affected by it. So that covers kind of our somber news. Now we're gonna get back into
let's get into the real deal now. First things first, we need to go back through. We had all-in predictions last week.
We sure did.
And of course, in true all-in fashion, in true AEW fashion, there were matches that were announced and changed up after we made our picks.
Yep.
We didn't do anything with the Jack Perry versus Hook match.
Nope.
With Hook regaining the FTW championship. We didn't have the Acclaimed versus House of Black coming up.
Nope.
With the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass winning the trios belts.
AR Fox getting replaced.
AR Fox got replaced by Christian Cage. Let's go ahead and pull up the pick sheet.
First of all, that's a lot of red.
That's a lot of red.
But
we got a lot of shit wrong. Just to run down
a lot of green on that right side, though. There,
it is not okay. You have one more green than me, and it was a technicality because of debut on the fucking pre-show. Shouts out AEW. You put Grado on the show. Congratulations. He got his spot.
You know who else was on that show?
What?
You know who else was on that pre-show?
Who?
Simon Miller.
I missed that.
Simon Miller was a security guard who got beat up by Powerhouse Hobbs.
I missed that. I did not notice.
Yep.
All in all, everyone was saying it was a great show. I didn't get a chance to watch it because I don't have the $60 to shell out for that pay-per-view at the moment. I'll wait till it goes on replay and get it for $40 instead. But everyone says it was a great show. There's a lot of stuff that's overshadowing it, and we'll get to that. But just to go over what happened with the picks, as you can see, we tied, with the exception of that called shot.
Which we weren't even going to add that final called shot.
Right? That was your throwaway. That was a complete throwaway for you. Anyways, Aussie Open drops the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships to Better Than You Bebe, which did still put a little bit of stress on the main title match, but the fact that it ended in like the big thing, well, we'll get to that. FTR defeats the Young Bucks. Young Bucks with a potential face turn. I mean, Young Bucks with a potential heel turn afterwards.
We were so wrong thinking that the involvement with Cash Wheeler last week was going to play a factor into this.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they said that he's not going to be, he wasn't going to miss time for it. I mean, it makes sense. You called it. Saraya wins the title in her home country.
It's not WWE. They're going to give the victory to the hometown, especially because they, spoiler, they announced All In 2 at Wembley next year. They were going to have that feel good moment for the hometown crowd.
Oh, no doubt.
So, yeah.
And I'll talk about it when we get to the post, like all the stuff that was discussed in the post show as well. But there's remarks as well about the kind of people that, like a lot of the British talent that were unable to make the show because of injury. I didn't even know Pac was injured too. I forgot about that. So me putting him in as Phoenix's replacement was wrong. Darby Allin and Sting defeating Swerve Strickland and AR Fox, which of course we now know AR Fox was replaced by Christian at the last minute. Darby and Sting getting the babyface win. Golden Elite defeating Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita. I believe it was Omega that got the pin. I can't remember.
I think so too.
I can't remember. I know they talked about it on the post show. Stadium Stampede. So what ended up happening with Fenix still being out because of his, as they mentioned, he had visa issues. He wasn't going to be able to make the trip. It was unfortunate, but because of that, you make do and mend. The 3 TBA then turned into 2 TBA, and surprise, surprise, it was a returning Santana and Ortiz, who for the longest, for the past years, everyone was saying they had issues with each other still, and they were never getting back together.
Yeah.
They were saying, they were even repeating that up till last week. And then, surprise, here they are.
There's always an olive branch in wrestling. You just sometimes got to wait for it.
Sometimes if the money plays the factor over that. I mean, when they used to talk about how like they keep Punk around, it's because they know that he's a draw, and we'll talk about that still. Ospreay versus Jericho. Ospreay gets the win. We both called that. We all saw that coming. Punk versus Joe. We get a Punk win. That match was potentially moved up. There's a lot of people teasing CM Punk versus MJF for All Out. We'll see what happens there. And then of course the main event, MJF defeats Adam Cole. A lot of teasing of them separating and whatnot. The two of them put on a hell of a match. At one point the match ends of like a double count. It was like a double pin from the double clothesline. Adam Cole's like, no, we're not doing that. Put 5 more minutes on the clock. MJF turns around and is like, nah, fuck that. This is going to a proper end. We're going to take however long it takes. Which was amazing, mind you. Yep. There was a lot of teasing of who was going to turn heel and whatnot. MJF actually worked babyface that match, which is amazing.
Yes, he did.
And he manages to retain. He teased even using the Dynamite Diamond ring. Didn't use it. Made it. He got the win on a roll-up because Roddy Strong tried to get Adam Cole to use the title.
Yep.
And Cole says no, turns around into a roll-up. MJF gets the win. They tease dissension. They end up hugging it out to close the show. Friendship wins.
Sending the fans home happy.
And as we mentioned, there was a match that was added as well. 2 matches added prior. Jack Perry dropping the FTW Championship back to Hook, and the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass winning the Trios titles off of the House of Black, which should be interesting to see where that goes now.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get into the news of it, though, once again,
your boy,
not my boy no more.
Your boy,
not my boy no more. CM Punk in the news again. Now, there is a lot of shit. There's a lot of caveats to this because this is, as everyone is saying, the news is still coming out. They're still discussing a lot of the things that are going on. Everyone is pretty much saying that right now it's an issue of it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray areas. But what is known, Jack Perry, earlier in the week, Punk makes a comment about not using real glass. That it's just a safety thing. Jack Perry, during his match versus Hook, slams him on the windshield of a car and then looks right into the camera, goes, "It's real glass, cry me a river." It is widely reported now that that he was planning on doing that from the very beginning, and it was directly targeting that discussion with Punk.
Yeah. 100%.
They get backstage after the match. Words are exchanged. There's still a lot of investigations going on about who did what, when, but essentially there was an altercation that got physical between Punk and Perry between the two matches, because that Perry's match closed out the pre-show. Punk and Joe started the main show. Apparently they had words in Gorilla, had an altercation. Here's the thing. The problem I have with this is that right now you have an issue of who did what first. And that's always the issue of like who instigated it. Mm-hmm. And this is going back to every single issue we've had with CM Punk backstage now. There are a lot of questions on Punk's side about what happened first. Oh, he shoved him first. Oh, he pie-faced him first. Oh, he swung first. Jack Perry's side, everyone is on the same page. Everyone has the same story. It's Punk's side that, once again, everyone has like differing stories and nobody can get their story straight. Even Miro was throwing in like a couple comments saying that all of it was false. Miro won't even fucking there.
Right.
Like, there's so much like confusion of like who really did what, and it's like, guys, what are we doing here?
And now there's reports of CM Punk saying that he, quote, hates it here in AEW. Like, it's just go home, Phil.
Just go home. And the quote that everyone keeps throwing around all the time is like, if you meet an asshole in the morning, you like, if someone's an asshole to you in the morning, you met a asshole. If someone's being an asshole to you all day, you're probably the asshole. I can completely agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally, this is, so, when we first started this show, we were always talking about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens and their contract and this and that. We are now, I believe we've now covered backstage CM Punk news more than we covered Lamar.
Hands down. Not even a question. Like, it's not even a competition at this point.
As always, we'll continue to report on it because it is news.
We're not done with this. It has also been confirmed that the both of them have been suspended pending further investigation. Now, the problem with this is we're about to go into an entire week in Chicago. Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, All Out. There's a very good possibility if Punk doesn't make those shows, the crowd will hijack the shows. Very possible.
Yeah. So here's one of many problems of running back-to-back pay-per-views on weeks. One, there's not, like, the main problem I see is there's not a whole lot of build to All Out. I understand it is like...
You're rushing the build. Agreed.
I understand that All Out is essentially their WrestleMania, and you don't really need to have the build. People are going to tune in because it is All Out. But had All In bombed, it would have severely impacted All Out.
Absolutely.
Luckily for them, it didn't. All In, by all accounts, was a great show. But now here's another issue. You've got CM Punk, who, as divisive as he is, his name value alone still brings a lot of heads to your product. And Jack Perry being one of your four pillars, now you're missing CM Punk and one of your four pillars. Like, that's a heavy hit. It's a heavy hit. And I think this also becomes Tony Khan is a wrestling fan, right? Mm-hmm. So I think he's more willing to forgive CM Punk than an executive would.
So apparently this has actually soured the relationship. They've barely spoken to each other since. And that's saying, again, just last week we were reporting that Tony Khan was still on Punk's side.
Yeah.
This has strained the relationship quite a bit. Anyways, moving on. We're done covering his Punk
tantrum.
Ass. See what I did there? See what I did? Unfortunately, we don't have sound alerts up and running. We are on the new computer. Like, the new computer is in. We are operating on full speed now.
Let's go.
Moving on. There was another surprise, technically a debut, because she appeared in the crowd. Mercedes Moné may very well soon be All Elite.
Good for her.
Tony Khan actually mentioned in the the post-show press conference, just like, yeah, we have had talks and we're hoping that things get together, but at the same time, we're not going to make any promises because she's not cleared to wrestle yet.
Yeah, Mercedes Moné has never had any issues backstage, and AEW's never had any backstage news either. So I think it's a perfect match.
Hey, okay, you can't put that stigma on her after we just got over all the issues with CM Punk. I'm sorry, you can't. You cannot. That is two completely separate cards.
There have been several accounts of her being difficult to work with backstage.
Oh, I agree, but I did that one wrong. I'm working on something as we talk. Don't worry. It'll make sense. It'll make sense here shortly.
I'm not worried. I trust you wholeheartedly, my friend. That's why we got into this business together. But no, honestly, all joking aside, I think it would be cool to see Mercedes Moné back in U.S. wrestling. I think AEW is a good place for her. We've said it. If we've said it once, we've said it 100 times on this show. AEW's women division could always use a little bit of a jolt. I'm here for it, and good for her for being able to be over there in London and witness literally a history-making show.
Absolutely. Speaking of the women's division, though,
new women's champ, Saraya. Looks like we got a face turn.
Yeah, mostly because Toni Storm ends up hitting her mother.
Yeah, typically, like, if you punch someone's parent, that's, like, a good way to, like, generate a face turn for that person. So, yeah.
And Ruby comes out as well, and then Ruby gets hit in the process, and then she's like, nah, screw this, I'm out. It could really go, like, there's no telling which direction this is gonna go.
Also, though, keep in mind, it very well could just be similar to Bret Hart in Canada, where she's a face because they're in the UK. There is more to it with, Toni Storm hitting her mom and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, they could still swing it, like, I don't know. They could still do something.
No, I don't. I'm missing one. Okay.
I know what you're doing.
You know what I'm doing now?
I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Anyways.
So, and then Orange Cassidy's going to defend the international championship against Penta. Sorry, I can't mind.
Mm-hmm. So
don't have my glasses.
That was mentioned during that was built up during the post-show conference as well. They had Orange Cassidy on stage. Tony Khan teases, like, we're going to make an announcement at the end of this interview that on who his opponent's going to be for his next opponent is going to be for the international championship. Because he mentions it's like, it feels a little weird that I didn't defend the international championship on an international show, but it's whatever.
It's the way the cookie crumbles.
That is the way the cookie crumbles. They did mention as well, though, that so the way they did it was Penta comes out with Abrahamantes, however you pronounce his name, his manager, and basically calls out and basically says, hey, Wednesday night, I'm facing you for that title. And then during his interview, Orange actually says, I've pinned Yuta twice. I pinned Claudio tonight. Now I want to face Moxley. So whoever wins between Penta and Orange gets Moxley at All Out. So,
and to steal a line from John Kramer, oh yes, there will be blood.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, that's actually kind of cool. I like, again, quick turnaround, all in to all out. It's a nice way to build towards your next pay-per-view right after you end yours. So I don't hate that move by TK and AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I kind of touched on this already. I said that they announced that All In 2 would be back next year in Wembley because AEW set the record for most paid fans attending any pro wrestling event ever in the history of the universe.
That's got to stick in Vince's craw just a little bit.
And I love that it says sets the record for most paid fans because of that show, I believe, in North Korea like 40 years ago.
Where it was like everyone was forced to attend.
It's like a 200,000 fucking, attendance record, but like 190,000 of them were forced to be there.
Right.
So no, but honestly, man, as much as like we bag on AEW and as much as I specifically bag on AEW, congratulations to them, man. It's very fucking impressive. It's very important, and it doesn't matter if you're a WWE fan and an AEW hater or vice versa. Mm-hmm. This is good for wrestling as a whole for us, the fans.
100%. To cross the divide a little bit, because this was discussed. So Edge this week cleared up some rumors between him and WWE. So there's been a lot of discussion that the match against Sheamus the other week on SmackDown was his final match on his contract. There's a lot of people discussing, is he going to leave and go to AEW? Is he going to stay? What's going to go on there? And it's still up in the air. Now, he has said that he has a contract waiting on his desk that he hasn't signed. There is, however, some corroboration between PW Torch and Dave Meltzer that those negotiations have stalled, mostly because he has given them he's given WWE like his list of like what he wants in order to return, and they pretty much told him, "Nah, we're not doing that."
To clear it up, here's the direct quote from Edge.
Okay.
There's no hard feelings between me and WWE. I love WWE. It's my dream gig. It's all I ever wanted to do. I didn't come at them with any crazy contract or anything. They didn't deny me. I have a contract extension sitting in my inbox. I just don't know what to do. End quote. I don't see Edge demanding a lot of money or anything because he's got his money. He's been he's been in WWE for over 25 years now.
Plus the fact that he's been doing a lot of acting, and this is also his opportunity to go back into acting more. I believe he was recently announced for the God of War adaptation, I believe.
I think so too. That sounds familiar. But I am curious to see I wonder what his demands may have been. I don't see Edge being like, I need another world title run, unless it's the world heavyweight, because let's be real, Edge already tried to dethrone Roman, and he didn't. So that's not that. And I think that storyline's already booked all the way out to whoever Roman's going to drop it to. Maybe he could get a run with the big gold for like a nostalgia pop, but I don't see that being a demand of his.
Honestly, I don't even think he was asking for that. I think he was probably asking for 7 digits, and they told him no.
Maybe.
That's what I think.
Maybe. Or maybe he wanted to have, a program with specific young guys or something, and they just... So, I don't know. Obviously, you and I both love Edge. We grew up on Edge. Like, he's the man, dude. He is the man. Having said that, before we move on, one word only for you. AEW, WWE, or done for good? What do you think is going to happen with Edge?
Oh, that is a really tough question. I would have to guess. If I had to wager a guess, I think, and this is a bold guess here, back to the E after Christian's AEW contract expires. Because the big discussion right now, the whole reason people want him in AEW is for him and Christian to have that one last run. I think they come back to that after Christian's contract is up and he can come back to WWE. I think that's how it happens. Then they come back for one more.
The only reason I would want to see him in AEW is to have him reunited with Christian. That's it.
That's the only reason anybody wants it. Other than that, again, like you said, he's at that point where all he would really be doing is putting over younger talent.
Exactly. So yeah, that I think that does it for our wrestling notes.
For now, yeah, we have more. We have more in the leftovers coming up for sure. But let's talk football now. I mean, normally we start football, but with the situation with Bray, we had to start off with that. So, looping it back around.
Yeah, we're gonna start with some. We do enjoy a good segue here at Pigskin and Pinfalls, but this story is just a natural segue, so I'm just gonna take it.
Go ahead.
Sam Darnold was announced as the backup quarterback for the 49ers. So this note came through first before I get into the Trey Lance trade, which I already alluded to in my intro. Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold has been announced as the 49ers backup to start over quarterback Trey Lance. So basically that means, this is Brock Purdy's job when he returns from injury, and the former number 3 overall pick Trey Lance is third string.
Which is a fall from grace if ever I had seen one. And if anything, probably now makes that officially the worst trade up in history.
Look who the Dolphins got for it and what happened.
When you consider that for that one number 3 pick that they used to pick up Trey Lance, the Dolphins then got 3 picks that they turned into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Bradley Chubb. Miami made out like bandits.
Fleeced them.
Entirely. Like if there's ever been a trade where anyone has been screwed over as badly as this, I can't think of it.
Well, I can. It was when the Cowboys fleeced the Vikings for Herschel Walker.
That's personal. That's personal for you.
That's like widely regarded as like that led to the Cowboys dynasty. We turned all those.
I would argue that this is probably more impactful.
No, because the Dolphins aren't going to win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years like the Cowboys did. Maybe it is a little biased, but go ahead and do your own independent research on that and look up the Herschel Walker trade, because we traded one player and got like 11 picks for it. And we turned those 11 picks into 3 Hall of Famers. So...
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, after this was announced, it was announced that the Niners were exploring their options for Trey Lance. Rappaport mentioned that there was movement for him to be traded to Minnesota. Well, he did not end up in Minnesota.
Nope. Where's he going?
Right here, baby. Right here. He ended up in Dallas, Texas with the Cowboys. We traded him for a 4th-round pick.
Now, I can say that I like this, but we need the professional opinion of the Cowboys fan.
I've never claimed to be a professional at anything in my life.
At this point, we're like semi-professional.
Correct. But, so what's crazy to me is he got traded for a 4th-round pick when he was the 3rd overall pick.
I know, right? That's the biggest thing. But
that's nuts. I know I've seen some stuff online where people say it didn't make sense for either team.
It makes perfect sense, honestly.
I think it may. I personally love it. A lot of people are like, this puts unnecessary pressure on Dak, and Jerry Jones is stirring up conscience. That is Dak Prescott's team.
Yeah,
he led the league in interceptions last year and did not get benched.
It's
his team.
So I was having this argument with somebody else the other day. I think this is a win on both sides.
I agree.
Yes, San Francisco is taking a huge hit with the value, but they are still getting something out of him, and they already know, like, they are committed to Brock Purdy being the future, and you can't be mad at them for making Mr. Irrelevant into Mr. Relevant. That is going to be a Cinderella story the best Cinderella story since Brady at that point.
Correct.
And if he so much as wins one championship, he will be held in that same regard.
Absolutely.
And let's be real, San Francisco is very much in the hunt.
100%. The one thing I will say that kind of surprises me just a little bit is literally last year, San Francisco lost all their quarterbacks to where CMC was taking snaps, and now you only have 2 quarterbacks on your roster. It's a little surprising.
They have a third on the back burner. I forgot who it is, but I know that they have one more.
But NFL changed the rules this year that you can have a 4th quarterback because of what happened to San Francisco.
3rd quarterback, but yes.
I'm sorry, 3rd. Yeah. So I am a little surprised because they are the team that rule was implemented for, because Purdy went down, Trey Lance was down, and Jimmy G was down.
Their 3rd quarterback is Brandon Allen now.
Okay, well...
It's your 3rd quarterback. You're not going to be looking for, you don't want a Trey Lance as that guy that's potentially getting a non-roster spot.
Correct.
This... We already mentioned, I like this for the San Fran side. I also do like it for Dallas' side, because at the same time, Dallas gets a solid backup this way. Yes, we've already said it's Dak's team, but Trey Lance is a very good number 2 if that's the case. And let's not forget, Dak does have a couple injury concerns every now and again.
So I love Cooper Rush, man. If it wasn't for Cooper Rush, we probably wouldn't have made the playoffs last year. We definitely wouldn't have had we all thought our season was done when Dak went down and Cooper Rush came in and fucking balled out. But Trey Lance is solid. So first, the issue with Trey Lance is we really truly don't know what he can be or what he is. Mm-hmm. Since college, including the preseason, he has thrown 192 passes. That's it. That's it. So, we truly don't know what Trey Lance is or could be. However, having him behind Dak, I like, because he's a bit of, Dak's a bit of I wouldn't define Dak as a scrambler, but Dak can run. Trey Lance, similar skill set to Dak when it comes to that. When Cooper Rush came in, we had to kind of change our offense up. We couldn't, Cooper Rush isn't going to go out there and do the same things that Dak's going to. And I'm not saying Trey Lance is going to be able to do the same things as Dak either, but I think with some of the mobility, some of those rollouts, the quarterback rollouts that we do, I think Trey Lance is a bit more athletic in that sense than Cooper Rush is. And again, who gives a shit? It was a 4th-round pick. If he pans out and becomes something great, maybe we get rid of him for something of value.
There you go. Turn that around. What I mean? Upsell.
Exactly. So I'm all for it. I'm totally cool with it. I don't understand the other people that are saying it's unnecessary pressure on Dak, because I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. I think in the same, people said the same thing about Cooper Rush having his ascension last year. People are like, oh, this is the end of Dak. This is the end of the Dak. And then Jerry Jones comes right out and says, no, this is still Dak's team.
If Jerry Jones stuck with Jason Garrett through all those 8-8 seasons, and he stuck with Tony Romo through all the heartbreak that Tony Romo gave us, he is not getting rid of Dak.
No way. No way in hell. Speaking of getting rid of players, we have more updates on the Jonathan Taylor situation.
Saga.
The saga. So per ESPN, Stephen Holder. To rewind the clock a little bit, last week we were talking about it. Jonathan Taylor demands this trade. They're like, all right, we'll look into it. And they were questioning, will it happen? We were openly saying we don't think anyone is going to trade for Jonathan Taylor with the running back market as it is. Per Stephen Holder of ESPN, 6 teams have already inquired about Jonathan Taylor's availability, and 2 of them have made serious offers to the Colts. No indication on whether the offers meet the first-round pick asking price, but either way, God, we were wrong on that one.
We were wrong. A 5th of the league is trying to get Jonathan Taylor. Bro. We were wrong.
And again, it's a question of where does he go next? Because we don't know what teams are talking to the Colts. That is still being kept under wraps. But to know that there are teams making serious offers does say, he could go somewhere.
So, it's curious because, we're a week and a half away from the start of the regular season.
Oh my God, we're so close. We're so close. We can take. Oh, we're gonna be swamped, but it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
We're gonna love it.
But if they want to get something done before because if you're Indy and you don't get a deal, you still play Jonathan Taylor.
Exactly.
But if you're Jonathan Taylor, that gives you the leverage at that point.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens in this next 9 days.
9 days. We are 9 days away from the start of the season, ladies and gentlemen.
Thursday night kickoff.
It is so close.
Josh Jacobs. Speaking of running backs not wanting to play for their teams.
Talk about these segues this week. Let's go.
Yo, we're doing it.
We're killing it.
Josh Jacobs ended his holdout from the Raiders training camp. He reworked his deal to include incentives that could net him up to $12 million.
You see that, Saquon? That's how it's done. That's how you do a deal.
That's how you do it. Because, again, originally he was supposed to sign that franchise tag, which I believe was $10.1 million. He got his money that he wants. I believe it's just this 1 year deal. After that point, it's up to Josh Jacobs and the Raiders on if they want to sign him again, next year. I don't see why the Raiders won't pay them. Because he's a running back, that's why they won't pay him. Nobody's paying running backs. Josh Jacobs is a top 5 running back in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. And if he can do that again this year, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Speaking of holdouts, Chiefs linebacker Chris Jones says that he has no problem holding out until week 8 of the regular season. Andy Reid says he doesn't give a shit.
Why specifically week 8?
I think that's the limit before. Isn't it after week 8 is when if you don't come back, you can't play for the rest of the season? Isn't that right?
Maybe.
I think that's what it is, and that's why he's saying until week 8. But either way, Andy Reid basically tells him, I don't give a shit.
Why would he?
Hold out all you want. It's not like
with Patrick Mahomes on your roster, you're going to make the playoffs.
You're not worried for shit. That defense, honestly, the Kansas City defense is not as good as everyone makes it out to be. It is really, that team is really anchored by Patrick Mahomes making everything happen. That's why he's getting paid as much as he is.
You don't need a defense when you're putting up 40 points a game.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That was the Tom Brady approach for so many years.
Yeah. So the Dolphins-Jags preseason game was suspended due to an injury. This is the second time we've seen it this preseason.
I believe it was the third. It might have been the third. No, it's second. It's third overall because it was based off of what happened with DeMar.
Correct. Miami wide receiver David Davis suffered a helmet-to-helmet collision. Davis was carted off the field. However, Miami has since reported that he is conscious and has movement in all of his extremities. The game was suspended with 8:32 left in the fourth quarter. Obviously scary, just like the situation with the Patriots-Packers game was, I believe, last week, if not 2 weeks ago. But my question for you, is this the end of preseason as we know it?
Preseason?
Or, before you answer, is it the end of the preseason as we know it? Or is it simply easier to call the games now because of DeMar?
I think this is entirely reactionary to what happened with Lamar. 100%, and I believe that. But it being preseason, I think that's what makes it a little bit easier to be like, yeah, no, we're okay. We can go ahead and let this game, off the hook. We'll just end it right here. My question is, what happens if we start seeing this happen during the regular season? Will we see it during the regular season?
I think it depends. Well, yes, it's football. People are going to get hurt, yes.
But we've been seeing people get hurt for decades. And only recently, because of what happened with DeMar, was the first time that we've actually been like, no, we need to stop and take a look at this.
But again, it's different. It's different. DeMar got hit in the chest and had commotio cordis.
Mm-hmm.
His heart stopped because of a direct blow to the chest.
Yeah.
These two games that have been called in preseason have been head injuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
I
understand. I understand it's scary, man. I remember when I was in high school, we had to have a helicopter land on the field to airlift somebody out.
Did y'all finish that game though?
Yes, we did.
Exactly.
Yes, we did. Because it's head injuries happen in the NFL. They happen in football as a whole.
Yeah, we've been seeing it happen for decades. Again, DeMar was a hit in the chest, and that's what made his heart stop. But we've been seeing people get hit in the head many, 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 many times, but no one has ever been, even when people get carted off or anything, that never ended a game. You'd have everybody in the middle of the field doing a prayer circle and whatnot, but it's never ended a game.
Correct. So for you to say, if this happens in the regular, I think if it happens with a head injury in the regular season,
then it's a change to the game as we know it, 100%.
Yeah. I think if we get another commotio cordis situation, which the NFL's been around for 100 years, and I believe that was the first documented case of it with DeMar last year.
It's what qualifies it to be a freak accident.
Also, I think that if something like that happened in week 1 or week 2, they come back and play that game later on because you have the time.
Mm-hmm.
Last year it happened in week 15, 16. End of the season, not a lot of time left to reschedule that game. I don't know, man. But at the same time, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense because if you go back to 2020, bro, we saw football every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were getting off work at the office on a Tuesday and being like, I'm getting off at 4:30. I got to get home because the Steelers game kickoff is at 5.
Do you remember how terrible that was for the fantasy season that year? We could never make any bet. It was so hard. We were almost ready to call that season.
Yep. But
which I know you're happy that we didn't because you won that year, but
yep. Call me LeBron, baby. I'm the bubble champion. But not. I think that after this season, we're going to see a serious reworking of the preseason game.
I can agree with that. I think it is definitely going to change things up quite a bit.
From one injury to another, unfortunately, Adam Schefter reported that Jeudy was carted off field at Broncos camp with an apparent hamstring injury. No news since, so we don't know.
So I mainly wanted to include this because Jeudy, of course, was being considered wide receiver 1 in the Broncos camp. Now, yes, injuries happen. Yes, it's possible. What I think is the biggest factor here is how this affects his fantasy value and how many people are going to be picking him. Because a great example is I had my first fantasy draft last night. And I know you and I were talking about that as well. But before that injury, like going into the draft, Jerry Jeudy was being ranked as like the 50, like an ADP of like 53. He did not get picked until I want to say the 8th, 9th round.
Wow.
Like he slid so hard because of that. And it's very possible. And at the same time, like look at who your other receivers are in that scheme. You've got Cortland Sutton, and then I think it's what Marvin Mims. That receiver core is going to hurt without Jerry Jeudy, and he's going to be out probably a couple games now.
And honestly, speaking of like this Jonathan Taylor situation also has implications for fantasy football.
Absolutely. He's been sliding down draft boards too. Josh Jacobs, with him having signed his deal now, has been moving back up on the picks. But
smart.
Like I know doing a bunch of mock drafts, Josh Jacobs was going down to like all the way down to like the bottom of the second, early third round. And that's somebody that, again, we were just saying is like a top 5 running back.
Speaking of the Broncos, this would normally go in the leftovers, but it's breaking news. The Broncos are sending a 2024 7th round pick to the New Orleans Saints for kicker Will Lutz. The Broncos have released kicker Brett Maher. Brett Maher famously had a case of the yips last year for the Cowboys and missed 138 straight PATs. So
138 straight PATs.
He missed like 4 or 5 straight, but it was a record. It was an NFL record of most missed PATs in a row.
I was about to say, I was just like, I didn't realize that you were just exacerbating the number.
Hyperbole. But no, yeah, so Will Lutz, longtime Saints kicker, moving to Denver, high altitude, solid environment for kickers.
For a 7th round pick, you said?
Yep.
Okay, I can see that.
It's about where you draft a kicker anyway. So
I mean, it makes it easier for Carolina not having to worry about Will Lutz in the league anymore. Will Lutz is actually a really good kicker.
Solid kicker. So yep. And from going back from injuries, unfortunately, we have a couple more. You want to talk to me?
Yeah. So Bills. This actually just broke right before we went on the air, but Bills linebacker Von Miller will start the season on the PUP list. He will miss at least the first 4 games. This is something that honestly we kind of saw coming. He suffered that injury late last season. Has still been recovering. There was a lot of questions on whether or not he would be ready by week 1. We have confirmation now. He's not going to be out. He's going to be out these first couple weeks. This again plays into that factor of I think the Bills are past their opportunity.
Their window is
very rapidly closing.
And a couple more injuries for Carolina. Arizona, not Carolina. Sorry.
Restart that sentence.
Yeah. Couple more injuries from Arizona. The Cardinals have listed Kyler Murray on the PUP list, also missing at least the first 4 games. No big surprise there.
Yeah, there's a good chance he'll be out. I think they said it all the way through until November. So
yeah. But the Cardinals are tanking. It's so obvious. With Kyler Murray going on the PUP, they also cut quarterback Colt McCoy.
Which is shocking because everyone was saying, no, Colt's going to be the starter week 1.
Yeah.
And now they're sticking with Joshua Dobbs.
On top of that, they just traded Isaiah Simmons to the Giants for a 7th round pick.
Which was also a fleecing.
Isaiah Simmons, who can play edge, outside linebacker, inside linebacker, corner, and safety.
He is an all-purpose defensive player. Like, if we were to pick a defensive player in our fantasy leagues, I'd probably go for Isaiah Simmons for that exact reason.
I would pick Micah because I'm a Cowboys fan, but Isaiah Simmons would be number 2. But now that he's on the Giants, I hate him. But yeah, so the Cardinals are tanking. Cool. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyler Murray sits out the whole year.
I'm feeling a little hungry. You want to get some leftovers real quick?
Let's get into these leftovers. I'm hungry.
All right. So to start off, EC3 has defeated Tyrus at NWA 75 to become the new world's heavyweight champion. In addition, per the stipulation, Tyrus is now forced to retire from wrestling. Everyone has been very critical about this, about Tyrus's whole reign, him being as vocal of a right-wing conservative, I guess is the best politically correct way to say it. He's a prick. Bye, Tyrus. We won't miss you.
My only question is, where's EC1 and 2?
Shut up. I mean, good job, Billy Corgan, but I don't think this is enough to restore credibility to the NWA right now. They still need a lot of work.
I will say, though, it's the right direction.
Absolutely. And I think EC3 is a great call for champion.
Give him a microphone. Let him talk.
Mm-hmm.
Let him talk. Texans have announced that C.J. Stroud is going to be their Week 1 starter. That gives us our top 3 quarterbacks taken in the draft, all announced as Week 1 starters for the season.
No surprise.
Good luck, boys.
No surprise at all.
Good luck, boys.
Wide receiver Corey Davis, the number 5 pick in the 2017 draft, has informed the Jets that he is stepping away from football. That's actually kind of surprising when you consider it's the Jets and how well everyone was talking about that. But I do believe Corey Davis has been suffering from a lot of injury issues.
He also really hasn't panned out to be the wide receiver everybody thought. I mean,
exactly.
If you get taken at pick 5, you're expected to ball the fuck out. And, but I don't want to sit here and speculate on why. Whatever the reasoning is, I hope he finds what he's looking for, and we wish him nothing but the best.
Yep.
This next one is fucking hilarious.
You put it in, so I'm gonna let you take it.
Matt Stafford says he's having problems connecting with the younger guys on his team. Quote, "I don't know how to lead people I have no connection with. I have to somehow find a way to connect with them." End quote. This was announced by Matt Stafford's wife on her podcast. I have a feeling that this was a husband-wife conversation that the wife then took and put on her podcast, and I'm sure Matt Stafford is thrilled that this news has been announced.
The fact that, first off, the only thing I saw, the only thing going through my head when I heard this was just the sound alert of how do I reach these kids? That's for one. For two, I think this is a testament again about the fact that they brought Stafford in just to win that Super Bowl, and then after that, it was just like, screw it, we're gonna go ahead and tank out the rest of the way.
I would say, Matt Stafford could go to, the rookie quarterback in LA. I'm pretty sure they're the same age. How's he gonna connect with the teammates?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Stetson Bennett's like 53 years old.
The disrespect on Stetson Bennett's name right now.
He balled the fuck out during preseason. I'll give him that.
Damn sure did.
I'll give him that. No, I get it. And it's like I gotta think about it. And Stafford been in the league, what, 08? 07? 09?
09.
It's a long time, man. I figure he's in his later 30s. And a lot of these kids coming into the league nowadays are in their early 20s. Like, it's got to be difficult to find a connection. Like, at the same time, again, he didn't say this publicly, so, like, I don't think he would say it publicly. I don't think any quarterback would go out there and say, like, I'm having trouble connecting with the guys on my squad. Like, I don't think that would happen. Mm-hmm. So for Kelly Stafford to put this on our podcast, I think is like mad disrespectful.
Absolutely.
This
is definitely, like you said, this is one of those things where it was probably like it was said as a husband and wife conversation, and then she put it on blast.
Yeah. And I don't think she did it like maliciously. I just think that she, just
an oversight. But I do believe that's going to play factors into how well the team meshes well. I believe this is going to affect how well the team works with one another. Mm-hmm. And it definitely doesn't give them much competition against San Francisco. Like, San Francisco is going to run away with the West at this point. Like, you've got the Cardinals tanking, the Rams can't get on the same page, and the Seahawks are your biggest challenge now.
And I don't see them being anything more than possibly a wild card team.
They may be a wild card team again. Maybe.
Yeah.
New Japan has announced a new working partnership with MLW beginning at this week's Fury Road. This news just broke. I mean, good for them. New Japan out here working with everybody but the WWE. It's just further extending that idea that the Fed is not as strong as it once was.
I don't think WWE needs them.
They really don't, especially because of that court case that's still ongoing between WWE and MLW. Like, I know that's still like being discussed.
Jordynne Grace re-signed with Impact, and her return is quote imminent.
Yeah. So this just broke, I believe, yesterday as well. They have reworked. She's got a new contract that she signed with them. She should be returning anytime soon. Which is, again, she's a big staple of that Knockouts division. I would love to see some matches between her and Trinity now.
Have you seen how she looks?
Yes, absolutely.
Brick shithouse, man. She is yoked the fuck up.
Oh, she always has been. So another thing to point out is that when she let her contract run out, she took some time away. She was actually working on her bodybuilding career, and one of the stipulations that's part of this new contract is that she will get time off for bodybuilding competitions, which good for her.
Absolutely.
Like, she enjoys doing it. She's really good at it. She's been winning championships in these, she's been winning these things. Let her continue. Let her get some time off. How many other times have we seen other people get time off in any sport? How many times have we seen people get extra time off for their side projects?
Yeah.
She's diversifying. Good for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm, good. Absolutely good for her. I think she is incredibly talented. Good on you, Jordynne.
Yeah. And then a little fun note to semi-close us out, because we're not quite done yet. We still have some other things to get to.
Not.
What's that?
No, we're not done yet. Little sneaky surprise for all you guys today.
Well, we also almost forgot. We got to do payback picks as well.
I did forget.
We will not be doing, just so for the record, we will not be doing all-out picks because there hasn't been but like 3 or 4 matches announced, and they love to make things at the last minute. So we're gonna, like they did with All In. So we're gonna hold off on that.
Yeah.
I got my coffee pot. But to go ahead and wrap things up with the leftovers real quick, I found this this really funny article that popped up on my feed this week, and it's every NFL quarterback as early 2000s pop punk songs, which I died laughing reading some of this.
So I will say this is more up your alley than mine. I do enjoy my pop punk occasionally, but nowhere near the level of fandom that you have. However,
I'm an emo night staff member. Come on.
Some of these, the songs I do recognize, fit perfectly. They did your boy Bryce Young dirty.
With all the small things, yeah.
Bryce Young was listed.
Joe Burrow, pretty fly for a white guy.
I wouldn't consider that pop punk.
It's pop punk adjacent, is what we call it.
Okay.
We had that argument at emo night this weekend. Trust me, we know. We call it emo adjacent for that exact reason. It's close enough. Deshaun Watson, my own worst enemy.
Facts.
Oh, this is fucked. Tua got face down.
Yeah.
One of the ones that made us laugh, Jared Goff getting Beverly Hills.
Yeah, Jared. Yeah, that's where I want to be. Hilarious.
Dak Prescott, the future freaks me out. That made me laugh a little bit.
I don't know that song.
You don't know it? Oh, I'm not gonna sit here and sing it on the air. That's not a thing.
I'll convene with my girlfriend after this. I'm sure she'll be able to fill me in.
Jalen Hurts, almost.
I almost had you.
Matt Stafford, thanks for the memories. Special mention for Carson Wentz. Cute without the E, cut from the team.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Zach Wilson, Stacy's mom. And then Stetson Bennett, who we just mentioned, gets What's My Age Again. We've had some somber news, so we needed this laugh.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so before we go, we have 2 big things that we have to take care of. First off, we do have our picks for Payback. Let's go ahead, swap over. We've got 6 matches announced. We'll go ahead and put those down. Becky versus Trish in a steel cage match. Who do you got?
Becky.
I got Trish.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a swerve. I think there's going to be a swerve, especially with like everything that's been going on. I think giving Becky the win is just too easy, and especially because you have everyone and their mother trying to feud with Becky right now. I think there's gonna be stuff that happens where things get involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seth and Shinsuke, who you got?
Seth to retain.
I'm really torn on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take Shinsuke. Half because I believe it, and half for parody.
Fair. Rhea versus Raquel for the women's championship.
Just put Rhea twice.
Yeah. I think Raquel does have a shot at it, but I think they still need to continue to build Rhea. We have breaking news?
Not breaking news, but it's pretty funny.
What is it?
Jimmy G takes digs at 49ers. Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo weighed in on San Francisco trading Trey Lance. Quote, a lot of weird situations over there.
I mean, that's the best way to put it, though. It has been a weird situation. So,
Yep.
Good job. All right.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory for the U.S. Championship match.
Yo, so like I'm gonna pick Ray. But
I too am gonna pick Ray.
I wouldn't be shocked if they gave Theory just another run to give him his fucking numbers up. Like it wouldn't surprise me if Theory wins.
I think it's still gonna be Ray. I think they're building to something there. I'll put that in my called shot when it comes up for it. But yeah, okay. LA Knight versus The Miz. I love how you went one way and I went the other, but we still did it at the same time. And then we have Kevin and Sammy versus Damian Priest and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day in a Steel City street fight for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. Who do you got?
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day? I got Kevin and Sammy to retain.
I think Judgment Day. That's going to play into my called shot.
All right. Do you know your called shot yet?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Damian Priest cashes in.
All right. And my called shot is we get the Santos Escobar return.
Return?
No, turn.
Turn, okay.
There's been a lot of talk about that. I think we might get it. I'm going to make that my called shot. All right. So we got that done.
Do we want to throw a silly called shot in there?
Sure, why not?
I got a silly one.
Go for it.
We see a terrible towel during the street fight.
That's actually a really good called shot. I like that.
But it's also silly, so...
Yeah. But I do like that. That's a good one. Now I have to think of another one. Hang on. The steel cage match features at least 2 interferences.
Zoe Starks and Lita?
Zoe Stark and Tiffany Stratton.
Ah, okay.
Tiffany Stratton was ringside during the match last night, and they're still building up this whole thing where possibly Becky's gonna go after the NXT women's.
She never won it.
She never won it. Stratton said she did. Now they're gonna play off of it.
Okay. All right. So that's our picks for Payback. Obviously, next week when we come back to you guys, we'll tell you the winner. Dick over here is having a rough run, man. He hasn't beat me.
I'm normally better than this. Let's hope I can pull it. Let's hope I can bring it back with this one.
I've had quite the lengthy title reign over here, so
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Give me just a second. I need to go grab something. I'll be right back. You saw me working on something while we were on the air.
I know what you were working on.
There was a question. I believe you asked it in the group chat of whether or not we were going to determine our draft order before the draft. As a quick reminder, next week, next Tuesday, we will be live on Twitch for the draft. You may not be. You may be there. You may not be there. Things have changed. It would be funny. I think it would be ironic if you don't make it. Although it would be great if we did have you. However,
it'd be hilarious because I've never been able to make it because I've been in the restaurant industry for so long, and now I'm no longer in the restaurant industry. However, I've been working nights, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, the irony. So, at the same time, though, the question was raised: are we going to determine our draft order before the draft? Originally, I was going to make it a randomized situation before the draft, an hour before, like it normally does. And then someone pointed out that I did I did organize this prior to the draft last year as well. So I figure, what better than to do it here on the air?
Yeah.
I was working on this while we were talking. You may have seen me writing shit down and whatnot. I put all 12 names onto Post-it notes and folded them up. And I'm going to put them in the hat. And I'm going to pull them out.
One by one.
One by one.
Would you like me to put this in the group chat as they happen? Or do you want me to hold off?
No. We'll hold off.
Okay.
They can watch this on the air later.
Perfect.
All right. With the first pick in the 6th annual PMP Champions Draft. Also, we did officially change the name of the league.
Correct.
With the first pick, Dave. No excuses this time. No excuses.
Okay, Dave. Dolphins fan.
One of them.
One of them.
With the second pick, Kevin F. Pick 2.
You're not holding it in front of the right camera. Oh, you are holding it in front of your right camera.
I'm holding it in front of the right camera. You have the other camera.
Right.
Third pick, Kevin V.
Kevin's back to back.
2 Kevins back to back. Pick 4, reigning champ, Katie.
All right, Katie.
Are you writing these down?
No.
Oh, I didn't know if that's what you were doing.
No.
Pick 5 goes to Rob. Welcome back to the league, bud.
Welcome back, Rob.
I don't like how long this is taking for me to get to my own name.
Me too, bud. Just waiting any minute now.
Any minute now. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Hey, at least now you know we didn't juice it.
Right? 6th pick. You.
Yeah.
You're
Smack
right in the
dab
middle.
in the middle. Let's fucking go.
Right in the middle. Oh, God. I'm going to end up with last pick. I can already see. With the 7th pick in the 2023 draft, Stickles. Pay your dues, bitch. 8th pick.
I feel it. It's going to be you. It's coming right now. You're pulling it right now.
Steve.
Who?
Steve. One of the new guys.
I thought you said me. And
No,
I was
Steve.
like, I called it.
That was pick 8, right? Yeah,
Correct.
pick 8. Pick 9. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. I had 2nd pick last night. I was so much happier. Chris. Pick 9.
The other Chris.
The other Chris, yes. Well, way to dox yourself.
I
But
didn't dox myself. All I said was the other Chris. That doesn't mean I'm the other Chris.
all right, whatever. Pick 10, Schmitty. Oh my God, I'm going to have last pick. Oh my God, I'm going to have last pick.
Hey, shout out to Schmitty. Congrats on the marriage, brother.
Oh yeah, congrats, Schmitty. Schmitty. Bah, wow, words are hard. Pick 11 goes to Luis. That means I am left. I am left. Fuck.
Show us the paper. Show us the paper.
If I can get the damn thing open. I'm so angry with myself right now.
You get back-to-back picks.
That's not the point. That's not the point. Oh, I'm gonna shed the bed this year. I can already tell. It's gonna be a repeat of last year.
You shit the bed last year, so...
Look, that 7-game losing streak was bad enough last year.
Yeah.
All right, well, that... God damn it, I can't even... You do the outro, fuck it. I'm pissed now.
Guys. That's going to do it for us this week. Obviously, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll keep you updated throughout the year on how fantasy goes. Next week's episode is probably going to have to be a little earlier because of our draft on Tuesday night. You want to check it out, spend some time with us, come see us at Twitch. Link will be down below. For Dick Burns, I'm Bobby Boomerang, guys. We'll see you later.
Fuck me running.